Welcome back to the channel, welcome back explorers. My name's Jack and today we're going to be looking at how Nascar was faster than Ferrari at Le Mans. If you are new to the channel, welcome, my name's Jack. I watch a variety of videos, mainly cars at the moment. And this interests me because I'm a European racing fan. I know more about Formula 1 than I know about NASCAR, but I am very much getting into NASCAR thanks to YouTube. If you're around here, welcome back explorers. We're doing some more NASCAR vehicles. I'm very interested to see this because me and my brother actually kind of kept up with the Le Mans this year. We never normally do, but he was, for some reason, so enamoured by the Ferrari team that he needed to keep updates, so no idea. I am curious as well as to what this means for the future of NASCAR racing because, you know, if they're driving like this on street courses, I'm just saying. As I said, if you are new around here and you like what you see, do me a favour, hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know who your favourite racer is in NASCAR or Formula 1 or Le Mans racing. If you're around here, welcome back explorers. Lovely to see you all again, and without further ado, I apologise if at any point this fan goes on. It is very hot in England right now. Oh, you don't know heat? Yes, we do. But anyway, let's go, shall we?
Look at this. Yep, that's a NASCAR stock car competing with GTs and prototypes at Le Mans. And they were quicker than Ferrari, Aston Martin and Porsche. It's a next-gen Camero that has been adapted to work at Le Mans. But if you missed it, you might be a bit confused about how this came about. NASCAR has changed a lot recently with newer, more aerodynamic cars, just like in the movie Jackson Storm.
What, like Cars 3?
Yeah. Centre-lock wheel nuts rather than the lug nuts that they used to run. They've even moved to more F1 looking tyres rather.
I'm not going to lie, someone in the beginner's guide to NASCAR, a lot of people in the comments actually have informed me lots and lots of knowledgeable facts about NASCAR, so I appreciate you all. I don't know why I paused to tell you that, but I appreciate you all.
Rather than the old style tall sidewall ones. Also adding a rear diffuser typical on other race cars but very new for stock cars. But one of the bigger changes is that they're running more road courses than they used to, racing at tracks like Circuit of the Americas, Watkins Glen and a favourite of mine, the Charlotte Roval. So, stock cars aren't just for turning left, and they've shown that in recent seasons. But not in the same way that GT cars or prototypes can handle Le Mans for 24 hours though, right? So NASCAR teamed up with Hendrick Motorsports to take a ZL1 Camaro stock car to Le Mans, taking a £3,000 stock car with no doors, no headlights, and a 5.8
and run it for 24 hours.
V8
I didn't even think about that.
It seems absolutely bonkers.
That's
and many fans were
insane.
excited to see a NASCAR race at Le Mans, and many were not.
I've had a lot of drivers say,
Hold on. Again, pausing. Let me just get my head around this. A car that's usually racing for... Oh, what's going on here? A car that usually races for 3 or 4 or 5 hours, tops, running for 24. I didn't even think about that. That is a feat of engineering. Well done to the team.
why are you doing this? What do you get out of it? Fun. What's the point otherwise? If you're not smiling, what's the point of doing it?
Lots of people were concerned that the car would keep up on the straights, but be a moving chicane through the corners. The Le Mans organisers even proposed waving a white flag at every marshal post the car drove past to warn other classes it was there. And this is literally the flag that marshals wave to warn you that a crashed or broken car is slowly driving back to the pits. And that's a bit insulting, really, and I'm not sure the marshals would have been keen either. But
it's a bit rude.
They were so wrong about the 24 cars pace, but we'll get to that in a little while. So they assembled the team for it, recruiting Mike Rockenfeller, Le Mans winner with Audi, the NASCAR legend Jimmy Johnson and Jenson Button. And that's quite a lineup. And
what a
they
team.
were quick. They entered under the Garage 56 entry, the experimental entry that we've seen a few times before. You might remember the Delta Ring, and we made a video about that as well. So although the car would race at Le Mans, it would technically be in its own class, subjecting it to special rules. So, for example, no matter where they qualified, they would still have to start at the back of the pack. Now, although NASCAR race on road circuits, a stock car would be a fair way off the pace compared to a GTE car, let alone an LMP2 or hypercar. So Hendrick Motorsports and Garage 56 set to work on developing a stock car that could work at Le Mans. They had big
so they kind of built.
Okay.
So it's a stock car, but they built it from the ground up. Yes. incredible. That's absolutely incredible. I did not know that. That's bloody brilliant. I know that sounds stupid, but forgive my ignorance. I thought they would have taken a NASCAR race car and just like put a new motor in it, new chassis, but they've kind of built it from the ground up. That's awesome.
With the GTE cars. And these are cars that have been developed for years to be incredible at Le Mans, with lots of downforce but very low drag, something that you need at Le Mans due to the long straights. Le Mans is actually pretty unique as it has several super long straights, but also fast sweeping corners and super tight chicanes. Aerodynamic efficiency is everything at Le Mans. So, what did they do? Well, the first thing was that the car didn't need to conform to any rule book. The standard engine restrictions that apply in NASCAR. So in Cup racing, the engine runs at 510 horsepower on the fast tracks and 670 horsepower everywhere else. But Hendrick Motorsports got the engine up to about 750 horsepower. That's 150 more than the 600 horsepower that the GTE cars generally run. But they could have actually got more out of it if it weren't for one thing. The engine normally runs for 500 miles or so before a rebuild, whereas in a 24-hour race, this engine would need to have a life cycle of around 5,000 miles. So they capped the RPM limit a little lower to reduce stress on the valve train. But the fundamental components of the engine stayed exactly the same as the stock car, and that meant that it sounded absolutely awesome. Just listen to the difference compared to the other cars. Rear-mounted transaxle gearbox was the same
that gave me
as the stock
goosebumps.
But
oh my lord!
Difference. They ran a Formula One style steering wheel with paddle shift rather than the sequential stick shift on the stock car. Now, with all that power, the issue of stopping the car became a problem. So they swapped the usual steer brakes that don't get used a whole bunch on a stock car and swapped them for full carbon brakes, much like the other cars on the grid at Le Mans. The biggest visual difference on this car is all of the aero. Just look at it. The car has enormous diplanes on the front, a massive front splitter, and enormous canards on the rear. These diplanes work by directing the air upwards, creating an equal and opposite reaction, pushing the car downwards, something that Brilliant.org explains really clearly in their course on classical mechanics. Brilliant has thousands of lessons from foundational and...
I appreciate you, get your money, but I'm not getting paid for your ad. So, la 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 la, la 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 la. Let's go.
Crazy NASCAR. The aero package was all to create as much downforce as possible without losing the NASCAR look of the car. They could have added an enormous rear wing to the car, but decided that's not the NASCAR way. So they stuck with a spoiler, but made it absolutely enormous. The result was that the car created 50% more downforce than its next-gen counterparts. And one other thing they kept the same was the lack of doors. So during the pit stops, the drivers were climbing through the windows.
Dukes of Hazzard style.
Were also keeping up with the GTE teams, despite not having air jacks and using a manual jack. Goodyear worked with the team to create a new tyre as well. They understood that...
Sorry, I got loud there. They don't have... It's all manual jacks. And they're still running.
The car would be super rear limited with the hard traction zones at Le Mans as well as the fast corners. So if they ran the standard Cup tyre, they would have to pit twice as often as the GTE cars. So Goodyear designed a custom tyre that's 2 inches wider at the rear. They also had a super clever tyre temperature sensor that is laminated into the tyres rather than the wheel rim. It's lighter and it's more accurate in the data that it delivers. This car is really a test bed for new technology. Then there was the biggest task. The Cup car runs at just under 1,500 kilos. And for a race car, that is a lot. A full 300 kilos heavier than the GTE cars and 500 kilos heavier than the hypercars. So
for
the
a
team
race
shed
car.
220 kilograms from the car. They're getting super clever with materials. Firstly, there are a load of things that this car just doesn't need. Stock cars have special reinforced structures at the front and rear of the car, allowing them to bump draft, where one car can sit in the slipstream with less drag and it actually pushes the car in front forwards. It allows two cars to work together, and it's super common in oval racing. So they bin that and then they swap lots of panels for carbon fibre rather than the steel. Goodyear even cut down the weight of each tyre. And also there was one other thing. This car had to have headlights, and we all know that stock cars run stickers. And the car drove well. It was clear that this Camaro could be a real match for the GTE cars, which to many was a real surprise.
I have to say, it's pretty fun to drive. it's really fun to drive.
You know, I think a man that's probably driven every kind of race vehicle you can think of.
Then, with a bit more work before qualifying, the Camaro out-qualified the entire GTE field. Jenson Button set a time of 3 minutes 47.9, a proper quick time around this circuit, with the fastest GTE setting a time of
1500 kilo Camero.
That is impressive.
What?
But there's one thing I need to make clear. The GTE field are a closely regulated pack, with massive regulations on aero, power, tyres, the lot. And the Nascar was completely free of regulation. And the GTE field has a balance of performance, BOP, where limits are put on weight, power, fuel load, and more to make sure all the very different GTE cars are super close in performance. And really the only limit on the Garage 56 car was that the team wanted it to look like a Nascar. So bear that in mind. Now that incredible qualifying performance caused an issue. The rules of the Garage 56 entry say that they should start at the back of the pack, with the order being Hypercar, LMP2, GTE, then Garage 56. But given the pace difference, they were concerned about the carnage of the Nascar coming through the field in the first few laps. So they let the car start between the GTEs and the LMP2s. And on the race start, the Nascar absolutely left the GTE field and even overtook a couple of LMP2 cars.
Get away!
The car absolutely flew in the traction zones and on the first half of the straights. But the aero wasn't quite as efficient at the end of the straights, meaning that the GTEs caught them up. But braking was their main issue.
Braking is probably the area that's the toughest for us.
It's a heavy vehicle with a lot of power,
Looking so unusual, the car was a massive fan favourite, with many fans saying you could hear the car coming for miles, with many complaining that it was the car keeping them awake through the night. So the car worked well at the start of the race, but then Le Mans did its thing. It absolutely tipped down with cars skidding off everywhere. The Garage 56 car held on, because despite the tyres, the aero and the lower weight, this thing was a handful. You could see it was super sketchy on braking through the corner and also on the exit. But you find that cars with more power
you must
than
be
grip
insane.
are just a real handful. But if balanced really well, they can be incredibly fun to drive. But later in the race, they had their first big issue. The gearbox exploded. All that power had destroyed the gearbox entirely, with it sounding absolutely dreadful. Just listen to this. And this was the Nascar out, because you're not allowed to swap a gearbox at Le Mans. But after asking nicely, the team actually were allowed to swap it, as they were the experimental entry. So after an hour in the garage, the car was back out there. But this problem had pushed them back to 39th overall before finishing the race. And just like the Delta Wing, Le Mans had provided the perfect place to try something bonkers in the hope of pushing technology forward. Check out the Delta Wing video just here. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Wow, that was incredible. Okay, so a few things. Congratulations to the team that built that vehicle for genuinely just... I like that once again it's experimenting. Car designers are experimenting with vehicles again, and it's fun. To hear that a Camaro was faster than a Le Mans Ferrari when it's 300 kilos heavier is insane. I loved this. If you liked, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. Other than that, have a great day, be well, bye bye.